welcome to the third edition of The Astute Engineer. This is one I'm quite excited about. Been looking forward to this one. First couple have been with internal engineers and some of the specialists that we have in the market sector. This one's slightly outside. Like to introduce Fabiano Bellisario.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
So Fab is original founder, managing director of Hardware Pioneers.
Yep.
How did you get to set up Hardware Pioneers? Where did that start?
That's a long story. Basically, it all started with my brother. So he was studying at a uni product design, and then he was working on his first IoT project. He was developing an IoT device, and at the time he didn't know pretty much anything about the whole IoT movement and how to build an hardware company. So he decided to start a meetup group to invite other founders of hardware companies to meet, connect, exchange knowledge. And then I kind of like being with him and since day one, helping him build a community. And yeah, that's how he started, basically.
Wow. And I mean, if I look back through you was at IED, you was doing your design. Where did you want to go at that stage though?
I think he wanted to build his own hardware company. So he wanted to build his own consumer electronics company. And but he didn't have any connection in the industry. So the meetup was a way for him to meet with other entrepreneurs and more about like connecting with other entrepreneurs that were going through the same journey. But the thing is that a lot of time was taken because of the meetup, organizing like the events every month. And we saw that the community was growing. And in the end, we decided, okay, let's focus on this group. Let's grow it and see how it goes. And that's
where you got to now. Yeah. And how many members have you got now?
Well, now we are, on our mailing list, we are close to 20,000 subscribers at the time. So basically, we kind of like shifted the content of our meetup at one point. So we started from the sort of hardware startup movement and inviting founders. Then we shifted a bit and we focus our events more on the technology. So we would invite engineers, experts from the industry, from companies like TI, Analog Devices, NVIDIA, Intel to come and discuss about the latest advancement in the industry. And then what we did, we also opened new communities in other cities. So in 2017, we opened in Munich. So we used to run a quarterly event in Munich as well as London. Mm-hmm. And then 2019, we opened 4 cities in the US, Boston, Seattle, San Francisco, and New York. So we would basically run these events pretty much every quarter. And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of rethought all about the company as a whole, the products of the events, and we thought that organizing an annual show, a big annual show, would actually bring more value to our members, to our community, and to the exhibitors, to the suppliers. So in 2021, we launched Hardware Pioneers Max. So Max come from the sort of like size of the event. And
I mean, it's interesting. I've been many events. I mean, Hardware Pioneer stands out as being that connecting the engineer. And was it your idea from the early concept to bring new technology rather than just the same old, or is it just evolved that way?
Yeah, it's evolved that way because we attended, I remember, Electronica back in 2016. So we saw that probably like switching our content to more engineering content would attract more people rather than talking only about how to build an hardware company, taking a product to market, which was very interesting, but was kind of like we were repeating the same information again and again. So we kind of expanded our content to be more on the engineering side. In fact, it was very successful. In fact, the community from there grew much faster. And
So it's interesting. I look back at some of the hardware, certainly on social media, and you're very much assigning yourself with some of the major players, the TIs and the NVIDIAs, and you give that that airspace too. But what about the startups? I mean, we work with a lot of niche manufacturers, as you know from years of working with Nigel. How do the niche manufacturers get some airtime?
What do you mean?
So some of the small startups, some of those new semiconductor manufacturers that are coming into the IoT or the AI market, how do you give them some time at market?
So I mean, like to connect with startups, like, but I mean, like one of our ways is to obviously through the event we try to connect the whole electronics industry. So like these young companies come to the show to connect with suppliers, exchange information, exchange knowledge. I think having a space where you can allow this connection to happen is essential, and there are not many throughout Europe in the world. That's very important. And also we are thinking within the event sort of products, how we can foster connection. So for instance, we're launching new activities this year, one of which is the campfire session, for instance, which are yes.
Talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, so really basically exciting. It's a more an intimate conversation among I would say a small group of people. It's a roundtable discussion. We invite one company and we work with them to choose a topic for that roundtable discussion, and then we also ask the attendees to share their knowledge and expertise throughout that roundtable session, so that there is an exchange of knowledge, information. So it's a two-way conversation, not just a one-way conversation you have during a conference session.
So what's that going to bring to the visitor?
Well, the possibility of, so when you bring people into a small group, differently from obviously if you have a 3,000, 4,000 people event, then you are helping people to connect. And then, for instance, if you are discussing a topic, then you are helping people to connect on a topic they are of their interest. So you're kind of like trying to bring people they are similarly interested in a topic, and then that for sure could mean connecting two people that have a similar interest. Okay. I think, yeah.
So the community is a really important drive for Astute as well. I think COVID's changed the whole dynamics, and trying to find that place that engineers can share ideas, talk about challenges and some solutions they've had. So looking at what you've got set up, you've also got some speeches, some launches going on. What's going to be different this year, apart from the campfire? What else are you bringing?
So what we're bringing also is a new area called the Hardware Startup Zone. Okay. So what we are allowing young companies, hardware startups, to showcase their products during the 2 days of the event. This is being done in partnership with Kickstarter. Okay. And applications are now closed, but basically hardware startup could apply and then being selected to showcase. I think we're going to have a total of 10, 12 companies showcasing their products. Okay. And that could be consumer electronics. I would say mainly consumer electronics because it's in partnership with Kickstarter, but there have been like very interesting products we've seen, and will be showcased at the event.
And I'm guessing if you're sitting here listening to this and you're not part of this, certainly worth coming along anyway to see what you're offering, and actually bounce some ideas off those people as well, I guess. Yeah. Because I think we've talked many, many years now about trying to encourage young engineers and trying to get them into this community. It's a challenge. Yeah, it is a challenge. So I think what you're doing is amazing. I've asked in the last couple of podcasts, and pretty much every morning I wake up at the moment, I sit there and I see this big headline about tariffs. Slightly digressing, but what's your view on the tariffs for our industry?
Yeah, it's I think it's a very, very big challenge, obviously. I think in our industry, what you want is like the exchange of goods without any issue. I think like on the supply chain, on the cost of the components, would be a massive increase, obviously, and difficult, I think, times we are living in. So I think it's all about adapting to this new world we are living in, and just wishing that better times will come soon.
I know it's quite amazing every time.
What do you think about it?
It's such a challenge because it's still the unknown, and I think everyone's trying to navigate a way around another set of stormy waters. I mean, we got past the shortages in electronics 2 years ago, and now we've been hit with something else. And I find it incredibly challenging for the SMEs, those smaller companies, the startups who are really trying to bring innovation forward. How can you take a 20 to 30% increase in cost overnight when the back orders are concerned? But yeah, it's a challenge. And it is, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is what do you see as the hardest challenge to bring a startup? Because most startups fail.
So I would say, if I had to think about it, like the number one challenge that hardware startups face, but in general startups, is the lack of knowledge. So when you start a company, obviously you have many aspects that of building a product, taking it to market, building a company, building a team, that you don't even know that you don't know. The the so-called unknown unknowns.
Yeah.
And that is where I see startups failing. So my recommendation for that would be, like, for instance, surround yourself with a group of people that are more experienced than you, so you can go every time, ask questions, and because that's the most important thing, and that's I see like the main problem where I see startups failing is lack of knowledge and expertise. I think, nowadays you mentioned tariffs, geopolitical tensions, also something that is affecting for sure, young companies. It's difficult times, to be honest, very difficult times for a young company to thrive and to
I agree. I agree, and I think that having that open mindset to ask someone else who should know more than you, even if you think you know the answer, that's a great learning experience. But back to Hardware Pioneers Max, I think this year you sold out very quickly. Looking at the floor plan, got some great exhibitors, including us, Stu.
Yeah.
Quick plug. Next year, you're going to be bigger and better.
Yeah, next year. So our plan is to move to Excel. So the event will be in June next year, 10, 11 of June. We're moving to Excel. We have booked 2.5 halls, so we'll be much bigger. We expect to have probably between 200, 250 exhibitors, 5,000 attendees. And the idea is once we move to Excel, we have basically infinite space to grow. And the idea is that to keep growing the community, keep growing the events, and compete with the big shows in Europe.
Flipping it to June, is that so that you're still talking to the English press after the World Cups? I mean, what's your thoughts there?
I hope we can make it this time. I hope Italy can make it this time.
But so moving from Milan, what?
Rome actually. Originally from Rome. Yeah.
But you studied in Milan.
My brother studied in Milan for a little while. Then he moved to London. I moved directly from Rome to London back in 2011, and then we started the community in 2013.
Right. Okay.
That was very
So you've been here for some time now.
Yeah. We as I said, we started from the meetup. Then we we switched to the event in 2021. So we kind of, like, I would say, we just started kind of the company in 2021 because it was a completely different product. The pandemic really affected also all this traveling that we were making. Yeah. So like we just dropped it, and I think we made a great choice in switching from the meetup to the events, the big events. Yeah.
So one of the things that I find going to see some customers, we've got this huge generational gap between the senior engineers, guys who've been doing it for 30, 40 years, looking at retiring, to the young engineer who are just coming out of university. There seems to be a big gap of, certainly in the defence industry. Mm-hmm. So how would you encourage someone new coming out of university? Where would you get them to focus on? I know we talked about IoT. Where would you?
Again, I would suggest them to build their own network, strong network of people that are more experienced, they are already working in the industry, go to events, go to meetups, just go to places where you can meet peers, but also more experienced people, because those connections will help you throughout your journey. Join events like our events as well, where you can meet, again, people in the industry, the technology providers, so you can learn a lot from them as well, from the conference sessions, networking activities. We also have launched next year a small area called the recruitment zone. Okay. So we are allowing companies to have a small space to for basically hiring. So I have conversation with young engineers, but also older ones.
What inspired that?
Yeah.
Did someone in the community suggest it?
So one of our exhibitors is a recruiter in the engineering space, but also we had a couple of requests from the visitor side, so from companies that would come to the show, if there was a possibility to have a small space for hiring. And then we say, yes, this year it's more difficult. Next year we are thinking about that.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Implementing, it's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
Because it'll actually encourage both a different set of exhibitors, even if it is one of your existing lines, but actually putting in a HR department, but also you'll have young engineers or the curious engineer coming along.
Exactly. And then I think there's the best space to do that is events like Entrepreneurs, because then you have the right pool of potential candidates.
Great idea. Yeah. What about AI? How do you see AI affecting things?
So AI. So AI, especially in our industry, is really disrupting a lot. So when I think about AI, I can see AI really changing the way engineers build products. So, for instance, when it comes to design, so AI is helping with PCB layout, circuit optimization, fault detection. On the application side, instead, you can see like a shift towards, for instance, tiny machine learning. So AI models that are built directly on low power microcontrollers, for instance. So the intelligence and the smart decision are being moved to the edge.
Yep.
So it's very exciting times, and I'm really excited to see the next 5 years what's going to happen, because it's very hard to predict, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, it feels like we'll be able to bring new products to the market quicker, because the initial design concept can happen within minutes rather than days. We still need to keep that human touch. I think that's the one thing about AI. We have to accept it's here, embrace it, because it will help. It won't replace humans. Yeah. It will give humans the opportunity to step further forward, I think, and develop and innovate. And we've done a lot, certainly with the marketing team, done a lot of research into AI, and it's mind-blowing. I mean, it really is.
We use it on a regular basis, ChatGPT and other applications. And what I'm curious to see is like how younger generations will look at AI, because we are older, and but what about my son that is 2 years old now? How will he interact with AI? Like, that is something that.
Well, it'd be interesting how by the time your son gets to secondary school, AI will be part of learning. I hope it doesn't replace learning. I think that's the key challenge. My daughter's 23 and 20, and Google has every answer. Google has every answer for them. And interesting, Google's 26% down on search in Q1. Still got 80% of the marketplace, but it just shows people are using AI now to search, and that's interesting. But I think, back to the community piece, I'm really keen to build this community for Astute. And We've been doing this market intelligent newsletter to really try to be thought leaders, to give something back to the community and just keep building that, because the world, the internet made the world a small place, but it's still a huge place. And all the geopolitical issues that we talk about, it's about giving people data. And I think information is key.
It's key.
And it's interesting, your strapline of connecting businesses that connect. And where did you get
the word?
Where did you come up with that one?
I don't know, because I like mottos and the type of sentences they use to describe bigger ideas. And I was still thinking about the community that we have and the business we work with, and they are actually like businesses that are trying to connect the world, and we as a company are trying to connect those businesses with other businesses and building I would say a smarter world. That's
I think that's really key, isn't it? Smart. I think we can all grow and drag ourselves down with the pace of growth, but I think we talk here about working smarter. It's so important, and using the tools, using AI. Your community it's amazing, the breadth you've grown it. I mean, I was looking over the weekend without a glass of wine, I'll be honest. And it's great. You've got yourself out. Where next? Where's the next stage of the journey?
Next stage. So as I said, like continue to build the annual show here in London, obviously, but also we're looking at other regions we could open the event. Okay. So kind of like opening other locations.
Where would you think that would be?
So we're looking at, for instance, India is very interesting.
Yeah.
The US always, obviously. Asia, there are a lot of shows already, so I don't know, that's a completely different culture also. So Asia, I mean like Southeast Asia, like China or Indonesia, Malaysia. But also that's very interesting. I think these three regions are at the top of the list. So India, Middle East maybe, but...
Yeah, I think India's, it's like fastest growing, isn't it, in our sector? And there's so many engineers there, and they're developing technology at an amazing rate. I guess America will be a challenge at the moment. Nobody really knows with all the tariff impacts and the way that the administration is very much reshoring everything. But I mean, you don't compete with electronica because that's just a behemoth of a show. But where would you see the sweet spot for you in Europe?
In Europe, I think London is a great city, both because you have great talent here. You have Cambridge, you have Oxford, you have fantastic company. You have Arm also. I mean, like you have an amazing ecosystem and environment. I would say, Germany obviously is a very important market. So Germany, in fact, we started the meetups in the second city was Munich. Obviously, Munich is very important key city. But again, there you have electronica. I think we're trying to approach the event in a different way from the typical German shows. Like they're very focused on the exhibition, which is very important. We're also to try to think outside the box. What we can, in fact, like the campfire session, the hardware startup zone, so all these activities come because there was the need to bring something new, something different, and helping the community connect in a different way rather than just visiting the show, strolling around and talking to exhibitor, which is super important. But we're trying to think, okay, what can we do differently from other shows? And also what we did last year, which is interesting, we launched a WhatsApp group for the community. They are the Pioneers WhatsApp group. So attendees can also join the community on WhatsApp, and they can obviously ask questions and connect outside of the event. So it's more of a platform that allows you to connect throughout the year, basically.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, and then last question for you. Yeah. So one book that you've read that you found inspirational, that you would recommend anyone coming into business?
Okay. So there is one book, yes, from this, how's it called? The Fourth Step to Epiphany by Steve Blank. That's a very, so if you are so that was initially designed for software startups. I think it can be applied also to hardware startups or any company. So I think I would recommend that to read if you are starting a company.
What stood out for you?
Well, he explained the whole process of validating an idea. So if you have an idea, how to validate it, how to test it, and then how to, take it into reality. Right. And that's fantastic. I think he still teaches at Stanford, I think, that course on, but the book is fantastic. So 4 Step to Epiphany, definitely.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Right, well, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Guys. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. We do our best to try to bring some interesting and exciting conversations. Always welcome for feedback, so don't be afraid to put posts in as long as they're clean and tailored. You can find us on all the socials, Spotify, YouTube. Thanks again. See you soon.